All right, YouTube, let's get into it. This is God talk. We're going to talk a little God talk. What's interesting is, I can't lie, I've been having a lot of conversations off of YouTube that I would love to have on YouTube. Me and my boy Reg, we'd be talking about vibrations, we'd be talking about supernatural God, we've been talking about a whole bunch of different things. One of the topics that I want to pull, and I'll probably bring him in probably to talk about something like a vibrations or something like that. Just vibrating on that same wavelength that kind of God is on. Remember, when God said, the first thing God created or did was, it was the words, right? Let there be light. The words themselves, and I'm getting deep now. Let's go into the deep end. The words themselves are wavelengths. You know, they got the sounds. Sounds, when you bounce them off water, you can see the waves, right? Frequencies, vibrations, it's all tapped in. I mean, shoot, there's some, our eyes can't even make out all of the colors of the frequency anyway. You know, they got those deep reds and all that, the two highs and the two lows. So there's so much out there, right? And we'll definitely get into that. But today, I want to talk to y'all about, do you see the Bible as something literal versus something that's figurative? You know, like this, you know, it's a lot of analogies. So I'll play both sides of it. Let's start off with the side that I don't necessarily believe on, but there are a number of people that believe this, and I just have a different opinion on it. So let's start with the opinion that the Bible is not literal, right? It's figurative. Where I may say, okay, that does make sense. Jesus does speak about how it's really not possible to tell people the truth, right? You can't just give it to them in its literal sense, like do this, do that, do that. Sometimes it takes providing an analogy. And the people, and I think he had a discussion, again, when I talk, I'm not a pastor. I don't have the Bible verses. I listen to the audio book, so it doesn't even have where exactly I'm at in the Bible when I hear these things. But he's having a conversation with his people, with the gang, with the squad, you know what I'm saying, with the 12s. And he's telling them like, they like, why do you always talk like this to the masses? And he's like, listen, I tell y'all, I keep it a buck with y'all, right? But them, they not ready for that. If I hit them with that, they're going to be lost in the sauce, right? Now, y'all can come to me. Y'all can ask me some more questions. You know what I'm saying? We can dig deeper. But them, I got them about for an hour and a half. 30 minutes where the attention span is really locked in. So where I could get them is with these stories, right? It's an analogy. Now, and then he drops bombs, like bomb analogies, like some fire joints, usually involving nature, a tree bearing the right fruit, all different types of things. You know what I'm saying? But then there's there's that piece where I can definitely see it, right? I won't go into my rebuttal on that yet. So you got that piece. Actually, you know what? Before I forget it, because I don't want to lose it. It's not a brainstorm session, but at the same time, again, this is a one take Timmy. We just out here. I'm just vibing with you. I'm vibing with the cam. I'm still getting over that thing. I'm looking at myself. I'm talking to myself. So we out here. But the rebuttal to that for me is, well, while when he talks in analogy form, it's very clear analogy form, right? Like he'll go into, again, talking about nature, talking about not events themselves, right? Whereas I feel when it comes to some of the more unbelievable stories in the Bible, you can find yourself saying, and I'm going to go to some of the sensational things. I'm definitely going to do another story, another YouTube episode on the top 5 things that I think wowed me when I read the Bible. But I really want to have my screen recording at the same time, so we could walk through it, look at some pictures, all that good stuff. But there are literal like events that happen, especially in the Old Testament. I mean, it's like a historical recollection. That historical recollection includes zombies. It does. I mean, zombie armies. It includes people like Enoch who don't die. It includes stories of people killing hundreds of people. It includes stories of cities being burnt down. Those things, right? I just don't see them as analogies. The Garden of Eden, I don't necessarily see it as an analogy. I see these things as historical events. Now, when an analogy is being told, I feel like it's like the Bible preps you like, come on, everybody, sit down for this round table talk that we're about to have. But when Jesus is talking about somebody walking on water, it really takes you to the point where, are you a literal thinker of that? Or do you believe that that was an analogy for a story about faith? Right? So the way it goes, Jesus able to walk on water. I think everybody knows about this. What everybody may not know, and again, there's some things that I was like, it's the details in the stories that I think are overlooked. And the value is really in those details. Peter himself, I believe it's Peter, I could be wrong now. There's a bunch of names in the Bible. One of the homies, I believe Peter, I believe it's P-Dog, he sees Jesus out on the water. Now, mind you, there's two situations on the water. Two situations. It's always more than one. And when you dive into the Bible, you get to see it. Like one was a crazy storm, right? Crazy storm. Another joint was the man's like, he's Jesus walking on water. But he tells Peter, like, yo, if you step out there, like you step on concrete, like you just know it's going to be there. If you do that with water, you will be able to walk. It's something I like to call the 100% faith. Like you got to be 100, not 99.99998 and that 0.00002 or 2. One of them, I got caught up. One of them, you can't have none of that. You can't have none of it. And that is why I think, and we was talking about this, I think our bodies, me personally, I think our bodies are built in, have a mechanism to where we cannot unlock. Like flying or really outlandish stuff, because things like adrenaline. We don't have adrenaline when we're taking a step. When I take the next step to get up out this chair, I don't worry that I'm going to fall through the ground. My adrenaline doesn't come up. If I'm standing at the edge of a building and I'm going to take that next step, regardless of how much faith I have, the body produces a chemical reaction, which may not necessarily allow us to tap into everything that we're able to tap into. Just my theory. You know, I'm deep in the deep end. I'm on 20 feet deep. You know what I'm saying? We're going Mariana, but listen, I'm there, but I'm going down further. All right. So it's those types of things that I think, and it's all about what resonates with you. It's not about what you want to say, what you think is the right answer. It's about what you generally feel deep down in the core that you know to be the right answer. There's something that you just know, and it's a feeling. That's how I feel you should take religion and all those spirituality, all those things. Like it's a feeling. It's a living feeling, right? Almost like a spider sense when you just know, and when you know it's real, right? So again, what resonates with you as you read things? What resonates with you as you read things where in the Bible they're describing animals like dragons, including the fire breathing? How do you feel about that? Is that something where you say, oh, this is an analogy? Or is that something where you say, this is fact? Again, Enoch, he didn't die. He got taken up. Same thing for my man, one of the, Elijah. Yeah, Elijah. I mean, Elijah as well. He doesn't die. So when people say everybody dies, in my book, I know two people, not, and Jesus don't count because I think he died and then came back. There's two people that did not die that was able to get a pass to just go up. Do you believe that? Or is there some type of figurative meaning behind those things? If you mean that, do you think that you could possibly be one of those? I mean, they weren't perfect people. Not that I understand the Bible to explain it I don't even know if the Bible even says Jesus was perfect or Jesus was blemish free. I mean, depending on how you spin it, Jesus flipped over a few tables. He got angry. But that's for another topic. On what's Jesus like, what it means to really be like Jesus. What emotions are natural. Taking it back to the main topic, which you're going to try to stay on, and I don't want to go too deep on this. It's just a thought thing. This is a thing where I want you to go and look up maybe some YouTube videos on some of the most unbelievable things within the Bible. How do you feel about people being brought back to life? How do you feel about the concept of, even in the beginning of the Bible, when God says to other gods, they're like us? How do you wrap your head around what us means? Who are these other people that God was speaking to? Is that literal? Are we talking literal? Are we talking figurative? Some people, I think some details you just kind of sweep over. I mean, listen, even as something as simple as ladies who don't think that they can have kids, right? And God will tell you, I came down to, I think it's Abraham's wife. Maybe I might have the names wrong now. Now I really might have the names wrong. Barren for a long time. She didn't think she could have kids. Old woman. I think she was in the 80s, 90s. The supernatural. Do you take that as another story or analogy to say, have faith, have trust in God? Do you think that the body really can be commanded from God, no matter what age, no matter what time, to bring forth a child? My mom was 46 when she had my sister. And my sister's the last of four of us. Some people might say that's ridiculous in itself. I think some of the things that we think. One more thing, and I won't beat this too crazy, right? But there are times in the Bible where even during the plagues that Moses brought down, Pharaoh is able to duplicate some of those plagues with the magic that he had that was at his disposal. How do you register that? Do you believe that magic is real? Do you believe what we term magic to be real? The Bible is filled with a ton of different things that will make you say, could it be? Could it not be? Could somebody really go into a lion's den and make it out? Could somebody go into a fire furnace and make it out? Could Samson really shake down the building, really shake the room like Pop Smoke said? Or do you think these are just stories that attach to certain things? Now, I'm not going to lie. There is something to be said about looking at these things, not from a literal standpoint. There's so much to gain from that, but there's also a lot to gain from just breaking down them as if they were stories. But I don't think you don't have to take away and say it's not real to break it down this way. Case in point, I look at a lot of people and I base them on, did God continue to bless them based on what they did? Or did God stop blessing them? Perfect example, David, soldier, warrior, major killer, right? Did some things like dropping bodies. He only lost his blessing when he rocked with a married joint. A couple of joints he rocked with wasn't married. He didn't get in trouble. When he rocked with the married joint, messed up. It's those types of things. Do you take the Bible for what it's worth? Do women truly believe that they need to submit, and at the level that they should submit as? Because the story itself goes deeper. When you actually read it, and I had a discussion again about this. It's not PC. It's not a PC book. It's not a book where everybody's just has a great outcome, right? It's different. It is what it is, like life is. And that's what makes me feel like it's such a real thing, because it's not catering. It just isn't catering. It just is what it is. And there's other stories that will corroborate. Case in point again, the submission. Do you believe that submission is literal? Or do you think it's a figurative term for maybe not so much being a slave or there's levels to submission, or as you can think about it. But the Bible includes a step further on, just in case you wasn't clear. And it goes into being like a savior type, like a Christ type, like how Christ is to man. It's kind of like how we are to women, according to the Bible. Do you see that and you say, that's a literal thing? Do you see that and say that's a figurative thing? I've talked to my mom on this. She may be of the ilk that it's a figurative thing, that it's not actually a literal thing. Some people feel like it's so figurative that the Bible needs to be updated for current times. I don't think so. I'm of the mindset, again, it's a historical reference piece. But if you look at the character development, right? If you go Game of Thrones on this thing, right? And you look at the character development, what you will see is it already is modern day, any day, whatever. Now and again, I'm teetering right now. Well, I'm locked in on my joint. I think it's literal. But let me jump back over to the figurative side, right? And again, I really want to do this episode again. And I probably will do a lot of these episodes over once I get the production better, so that you could see some of the things. I'll have notes. I'll actually have things like, I want to cover A, B, C, D, and E. Right now, I'm just vibing. But by the grace of God, I'm just vibing. But to get back to the point, I really do feel that there's so many examples of real life situations. There's marriage. You know what I'm saying? There's times when you need to, it's a time when you need to lie. I seen a group in the Bible lie because somebody violated their sister. And they said, we got to get them back. So they lied and said, yo, listen, if you want to be down with us, you got to circumcise yourselves. If you want to roll with the dogs and roll with God, you got to circumcise yourselves. But you could be good. While they were healing from the circumcision, they came in and did damage. God did not punish them. At least I don't think so. I don't remember them being punished like that. But what I want to say, and I almost got thrown off. Last point, and I'm going to cut it off just again, because I just want this to be a spark. I don't want this to be so informative because I'm going to definitely jump back in. But when you look at some of the stories, right? And I'm starting to lose it because I'm, that's how you know the devil. You coming up with some story. You coming up with something, Des. But just from a figurative to a literal standpoint, even in the Old Testament, I got it now. Now I'm locked in on that. I had that idea and it was going away. When you have the Old Testament, now there is a time when God is like, listen, y'all just don't get it, right? And so he made a set of laws. And I mean, it was extensive laws, right? Some people said, why would I have to do that? Maybe some of these are figurative laws, right? I mean, do I really need to sit for 7 days? What if I sit for 6 days? I'll be good. Little did they know, he was prepping them for the long haul. They were out in the wilderness. They didn't have a lot. Like, there was probably little room for error if I was going to get this people from point A to point B. They already tripping, right? They're not washing. Like, they bugging right now. But they don't know that it's not just about not washing. It's about there could be infections. You don't even know what infections are. I say all that to say we are literally 3 to 5 steps behind God. So while I may think it's literal, you may think it's figurative, it's above our pay grade, whatever it is. Like, actual factuals, it's above the pay grade. Just let it resonate with you. And whatever resonates, that's good enough. Trust me, God is powerful enough to where if he needed something else to resonate, he would. He would. If the book needed to be changed, listen, and there is a God, that God can change it. If there is an all-powerful being, believe that all-powerful being could make sure that his email is worded correctly. I'm just saying. So all those things I take into account, and that is what leads me to believe that it is a literal book. It is a literal historical document from back in the day. It doesn't need updating. And when it did need updating, God touched the right Nicene Creed, whatever they call. Bing, 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 bam. King James, holla at me. Whoop, whoop. I need you to make a version. He got that power, man. You look at Paul at the end of the Bible, and I think and this is why, talking about character development, why I take everybody's story literal. And before I even get, they even got a woman judge. They even got a woman leader back in the day. Literal. But if you look at Paul at the end of the book, this is after Jesus died. There's a guy named Saul, right? He was a violator to the Christians. One day God tapped him. Yo, bro, come here, man. Listen, you got a little stain, right? You got a little stain. You've been doing your thing, but you've been on the wrong side. Let me buy you out. You coming to the Lake Show. Andre Drummond him. No, better AD'd him. He straight AD'd him. Took him to the good side. That man, from then on, went from persecuting Christians to really being the last step of bringing the Christian message to the forefront. If you didn't never read the Bible, you would think Jesus is he's the end, right? But there's one more guy after him. Jesus is that third leg on the baton, right? Takes it. Gives it to one more person. One more person. See, Jesus was a young guy, died at 32. 32, 31, something like that, 32. He wasn't going to have that much time. But there was one more guy that came and handled business. Changed his name from Saul to Paul. Do you really think that somebody who was literally killing Christians and then became an evangelist, do you think that's literal? Or you think that's figurative? Are there any examples of that happening in real life? In historical times that are documented? And you got scientists now, never believed in God, bumped their head one time, cracked the melon, white meat, wake up, white robe. White meat busted to white robe. Had an experience. Moses had an experience. Listen, my God is powerful. My God is good. My God is strong. My God is elite. The best of the best. I just think everything that he talked about is real, man. You know what I'm saying? He don't just talk about it, he be about it. And listen, there's also some other, do some crazy YouTube searches on the flood. On things like Noah's Ark. On things like the path of the slaves to the freedom. Why would we think that these things can't be real? I mean, National Geographic even, I think, had a story about how potentially the Red Sea could have parted. If there was a tsunami, and if this happened, and if this happened, and this happened, it was like, well, it could be possible. Well, my thing is, if it could be, then did it? Or why didn't it? If you can even give me a 1% chance of how it could have happened, it's good enough for me. That's good enough for me. All right, we're about 30 minutes in. Again, I just wanted to give y'all a little taste. I've been having a lot of God talk, vibrating very, very high. God is working through me. It's excellent feeling, but you got to give back. You got to let people know. And outside of what we just talked about today, the Bible being literal or figurative, this is, again, just for you to think about on your own time. This is not a relationship where I could tell you or anybody could tell you. You got to feel this. Faith is not something that somebody could tell you about. You got to develop that on your own. And however you need to learn about it, go learn about it. But listen, once you get it, though, it's a whole nother set of things to tap into it. And that's that vibration talk that we're going to talk about. Once you start vibrating on the right thing, and listen, I got the scripture. People say you don't got to listen, man. If ye abide in me and my words abide in you, then ye shall ask what ye will and it shall be done unto you. Remember we talked about in the beginning, the words, wavelengths, vibrations. Those vibrations, if the words are in you, if those vibrations are in you, you can ask whatever. You can issue out vibrations to the world and it will come back to you. It's a whole bunch of different ways they call it, the secret, whatever, but they taking God out of that. We're going to bring God back into it. When you see me, when you see Boss Dez, when you see Crim Slim getting crim trim, when you see the teeth getting right, when you see the dollar bills going up, just know, I'm just showing off for God. I'm just letting y'all know when you tap into God, this is what comes out of it. When you tap into God, you can have a 30-minute talk and not even know what you were going to talk about. Devil man tried to come in there one time and throw the boy off, but he gave it back to me. Listen, this is a great thing. I wasn't even going to do the video. I did a video right before this, but I said, listen, let's just get this in, man. We're not getting enough God talk on the channel. I'm trying to. A part of me wants to be Black Man's channel. A part of me wants to be a dad YouTube channel. Part of me just want to be Des. But God is in all of them. Whatever I decide. So I appreciate y'all rocking with the video. I appreciate you rocking with your boy. Let me get this thumbnail real quick. But I've been enjoying this, man. I've been enjoying this. I really have. And I cannot wait to grow with y'all. I cannot wait to get I cannot wait to get my iPad like really up and running, like going. Oh my gosh. I'm a body the Chan. I'm a body the Chan. We're gonna go again. Top 5 ridiculous things. Like I'm talking about mind-blowing things. Again, we're going to go into the zombie army, right? We're going to go into the people that didn't die, right? We're going to go into the battles. We're going to go into the Game of Thrones aspect of the Bible, right? Right? And much more. The dragons, the supernatural, the crazy stuff, the stuff that when you go to church, they don't really talk about it because it would have you doing more questions than answers. That stuff. That's the stuff that dictates if it's a literal thing or it's a figurative thing. Let me thumbnail. I don't know if Tory is free and I don't know if he's innocent or not. I gotta cover up New Toronto. Thumbnail. Got it. I love y'all. I love God. I hope y'all love God too. And we're gonna get closer. We're just gonna get closer. All right, man. Peace.